phasing out coal is a critical next step in kind of meeting our community and the world's energy solutions.
It's incredibly important that we make this transition in a just and equitable fashion.
And we only can go to renewables if it also improves the living condition of the majority of the people. The just transition is a big chance to do that.
The need to reduce emissions requires that we close coal plants, particularly in this town where the coal plant is a major employer. The community's invested in this coal plant. So when we move forward with closing it, there are going to be significant impacts.
If you look at all the fire stations and all the high schools and all the tax base that has built our infrastructure in the last 40 years because of this plant, it's been very significant.
The community's interest, starts with Bob Gunther going, wait a minute, that's my job. It's my kid's job, it's my family's job. So from a state assistance point of view, what's the future for them?
We're going to have to transition in years to come from fossil fuels to clean energy. And we want to get to the clean energy economy in such a fashion that people still can afford to live and make a decent living and have a decent retirement.
So it took a while to sort of level set the culture, but it was much more about, we need to get something done. We have a number of parties with us that need to be taken care of. How do we do this together? Let's invest in economic development and worker transitions. Let's invest in the community, and let's invest in clean technology.
TransAlta agreed to provide $55 million in transition funds. The fund is providing direct support to the workers who are at the plant when it closes.
Who's going to stand against a company, labor, and all the advocates, and the local community, and the governor's office going, this is a good deal, let's do this.
We have still in Europe about 250,000 jobs that depend on coal, but we have over 1 million in renewables.
We, together with all the citizens and the companies in Rotterdam, want to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. One of the measures, of course, is to close the still existing coal plants in Rotterdam.
In Europe, we want to make sure that the transition away from coal helps also to create new jobs for those families and people dependent on coal jobs.
We as a union support the closing down of these coal plants because they were built too late and they were not really necessary. But there has to be a solution for new jobs for the people who lose their job.
Yeah, Rotterdam is located close to the North Sea, and in the North Sea there's plenty of room for new wind farms. These wind farms are the future of generating energy. They are completely clean, but also they generate a lot of new opportunities for Rotterdam businesses and for new jobs in Rotterdam.
There are a lot of new people who want to be involved, especially our younger members are clearly aware of the importance of this issue and are advocates of our union policy for a just transition.
The UK was the first country to set legislation that forced its economy to change and reduced our carbon budgets. But what we found was it was extremely good for the economy. And Hull is an example of a city that faced major transitions away from a fossil fuel-based economy.
Yorkshire had lots of coal pits, which was closed in the early 80s. Lots of these villages and towns, etc., lots of people was put out of work. Renewable energy is definitely changing the region, absolutely.
You've seen a lot of local people gaining really good employment out of this industry. You've seen local businesses being able to supply into this industry and in turn growing their businesses.
Our workforce are all local. Lots of the fathers worked in the shipyard. The people that build ships, repair ships, that sail the vessels are highly qualified. And it's important that we get a throughput of young people working within this industry. And really with the wind farm industry now, it is creating a lot more opportunities for this to happen.
In Europe, we have this coal regions in transition policy. We have a number of countries that are participating actively to try to find ways in which they can move away from coal, in which they can identify new and better jobs.
And that's something where countries can really get together and learn from each other's experiences to make sure it's a fair transition, that there are opportunities and retraining and new opportunities for those communities.
I'd say for other communities, it's worth the effort to invest in the communication and the dialogue with workers and with the plant owners and with the community, figure out what they need, and then to develop a plan for that transition